What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I got to talk to all you guys, but what is going on, the beautiful, beautiful people of Hexaco? We got Crypto Kings in the chat. Nice, snag up some ticks. Yeah. So I had to delay the stream for a little bit because I got like 5 browsers open right now, trying to get in line for Burning Man tickets. My first time going, so I don't know what to expect, but I've heard some things, guys. I've heard some stories. It's good to see everybody in the chat. I know it's been a long time. Hex Element, what is going on, my friend? Crypto Gains Club 369, Crypto Cashew, Tin Top, hello. COTG, hey, how's it going? Pulsating Hexgasm, let's get it. Alan Bittner's up in the chat here. Wake Dog, hello. Man, we've even got Explosive Artist. Great meeting you in Vegas, bro. RV. Yeah, we're going to have a full house here. We're going to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about, but I want to get the primary clickbait title out of the way. Guys, so here's the thing. People are always asking, like, you know, what about staking PulseChain? Is this going to make us any money in the future? You know, PulseChain right here. Is it going to actually make us any money by staking it? That's one option you could do when PulseChain comes out, but I want to quickly just give my two cents on this whole thing. There's so much more opportunity. There's so much opportunity in crypto and in PulseChain and Hex specifically that I don't think staking or delegating your PulseChain is going to be the primary method to making you money on it. Now, that said, if you just got Pulse sitting there, if you got a bunch of PLS token and it's just sitting around, I don't think you might as well. You might as well delegate it to a validator. Which validator you want to delegate it to, I don't really know. I don't care. But judging by what I'm seeing right now, and if I go pull up the testnet, the validator testnet, one of the highest validators, one of the most profitable validators, you could say, has only made 15 TPLS so far. So even if Pulse is $1, right? Even if PulseChain goes up to $1, $15 divided among every single validator proportionally is like 0.000001 pennies each, right? So I'm not recommending, I'm not saying don't delegate Pulse. That's not what I'm saying. But I mean, obviously, if you're sitting around with a bag of Pulse, delegate it. If it's just, collecting dust, if it's just sitting there collecting dust, delegate it. You have nothing to lose. It's very low risk. You can undelegate it at any time. It doesn't matter. But you have so many other options, guys. You've got, first of all, you can just stake Hex. That earns way more APY than any of these other things. You could stake your PulseX. You could earn, whatever tokens you want. You could earn it that are available in the liquidity, not the pool, but the earn section of pulsex.com. You can go to the earn section, see if there's any tokens maybe worth staking your PulseX for. Right now, we've got this party token, which I don't even know if it's legit or not. I don't know anything about that token. I think it's just probably for testing purposes. You could provide liquidity. You could take some of your free ERC20, PRT20 coins and provide liquidity on those pairs. For example, EHEX and PHEX, or regular Hex, as we're going to call it. You could earn a lot of incentive token for doing that. You get to vote on the incentive that you want to reward. You get to vote on the liquidity pairs you want to reward with your PulseX tokens. So why not just vote for the tokens you already have and incentivize yourself to do the things that you want to do? So we got liquidity providing, staking PulseX, staking Hex. We've even got taking out a loan on liquid loans. I know, maybe controversial for some of you. To me, that's a better way to extract value out of your PulseChain than staking it. And, I hope nobody comes away with like, oh, staking Pulse is terrible. That's not the message I'm trying to convey. I'm just saying that there is so much other opportunity when PulseChain is going to go live that you might feel a little silly if you're not earning as much as everyone else is because you're just delegated your Pulse and there's all this other cool stuff to do. Now, all this stuff, stuff like liquid loans is risky, right? Because we haven't seen the code yet. We haven't seen the audit yet. Assuming that all goes well, that seems like a very profitable solution. What else do we have? Liquidity providing, LP mining, LP rewards and incentive token, PulseX staking. There's going to be so much stuff going on, guys. It's just like, what's the best place? I really think that either liquidity providing on pairs with low impermanent loss risk. I think that those are going to be the best. What do I mean by low risk of impermanent loss? Well, the pairs that don't have a lot of risk. So I think the ERC PRC pairs might have some of the lowest impermanent loss risk. Anytime you have a US dollar coin paired with a crypto token, you have a lot of risk of impermanent loss when you're a liquidity provider. But if you want to, be a liquidity provider for HEX EHEX, or you want to be a liquidity provider for PulseX, for example, or PulseX HEX, or HEX Pulse, all these pairs, because they're PRC pairs, I think they have low opportunity for impermanent loss, because if people aren't in one, they're going to go to another, and there's going to be this shifting seasonality approach to the price of all these coins. As we know, if the primary liquidity pairs in these coins are very high, in the non-USDC denominated pairs, first of all, there's way lower opportunity for the coins to dump, because let's say I want to sell my HEX for PulseX, right? Or I want to sell my PulseX for HEX. Well, if there's a direct route from HEX to PulseX rather than HEX to USDC to PulseX, right? If we don't have to take that little sidestep, we get to go directly from coin to coin without an impact on the overall price. Let me say that again, okay? The more liquidity we have in PRC20 pairs rather than USD PRC20 pairs, the less price impact you'll have when you try to sell one of your PRC20 coins for another coin. Does that make sense? Because you're not actually selling it. You're swapping it directly you're just changing the ratio of one coin's value in terms of the other coin's value. So yes, you're affecting the price of HEX in terms of PulseX, in that example. You're affecting the price of coin A in terms of coin B, but you're not necessarily affecting the price of coin A in terms of US dollar coin if you never have to dump it for US dollar coin in order to then buy back the coin. So maybe clip that out, maybe rewind that a little bit to try to understand, but it's related to Hart's law, right? The higher the liquidity in these pairs that we can achieve, the less prone they are to price dumps, because, why cash out when you could just flip flop back and forth? Oh, Ahmed wants to know what happened to K4K. Yeah, tragedy, guys. Everyone's getting banned left and right on YouTube. I hope it doesn't happen to me. I don't think it will. I'm trying to play by the rules here. I'm not swearing. I'm not saying anything too controversial. I think my guess on what happened to K4K is that he made a video about Shiba coin. He tried to do one of those, vampire attack videos, kind of like I did on the NFT side, but mine was a little more generic. His was specifically targeting a community of people, the Shiba community, saying, hey guys, Shiba community, we've got a whole bunch of free coins for you over here. Someone at Shiba, some soy boy, probably got butthurt about that, and they might have done a mass report. That'd be my guess. My other, just a recommendation for YouTubers out there when it comes to not getting banned, uploading many videos in a day can sometimes look spammy. So, he had uploaded like 4 videos in a day one time. That might look a little spammy. Putting words like hack or exploit in your video titles. He had a video about the Chrome exploit and about how not to get hacked via the Chrome exploit. That might have triggered some keywords that Google didn't like. But in all honesty, my guess is that he just triggered some little soft little soy boy in the Shiba community. So it's too bad. But my guess is that he's going to get his channel back and reinstated, because he really didn't break any terms and conditions. Mass reporting is something that we have to be careful of. And that's actually a pretty good message to convey right now, guys. You can't just go talking crap about every single other crypto out there. I know it's easy and it's low-hanging fruit, because let's be honest, there's not a lot going on if you're not in this ecosystem right now, but you can't alienate people, right? If you make a funny meme, for example, try to not make the meme at the expense of a whole other community. Because do you remember in Richard Hart's debate with the Bitcoin maxi guy, whoever, his name's not important, but he, at one point, the maxi guy said, everybody that follows Richard Hart is a brain dead lemming. How do you think that affects the tens of thousands of hexagons out there? Does anybody like being called a brain dead lemming? No, you don't like being called a brain dead lemming. That's one way for sure to make sure that these guys double down even harder in their community and they hate you even harder. So number one, you're attacking them so they feel like you're the enemy. And number two, they double down on their stance that their coin actually is the best because, hey, at least we're not a bunch of, crap talkers over here, and we have integrity or whatever. Not to mention I've had threats from Bitcoiners before as well, but these, basically you get more flies with honey than vinegar is what I'm trying to say. Does that make sense? The saying you get more flies with honey than vinegar means don't just throw around poison and insults at anybody. That's no way to onboard somebody. You just got to be the bigger man. Even if somebody's clearly wrong and clearly embarrassing themselves and making themselves look bad, let them self-destruct themselves. Don't get all triggered on Twitter or go get all triggered on YouTube and go make some, because I see a lot of people on Twitter like getting into these arguments that are just so pointless. If you're the chill, calm, cool, collected one that can sit back and relax and just laugh and make the other person, it's almost like a judo attack. Like you just got to make the other person look silly with their rage. And Richard Hart did such a good job of that in his last interview that I've even seen a couple of Bitcoiners say, oh my God, that was really, really embarrassing for us. Maybe I should take a second look at Hex. That's literally what people were saying is like, hey man, maybe there's something to this Hex thing. That Richard guy actually sounded really smart. Meanwhile, the two buffoons on the other Bitcoin team were just, one guy was eating a banana and hopped on just to call Richard fat, right? So ad hominem attacks, that's what they're called. They never really make the person look good. If you don't have any logical argument to make, oftentimes people resort to just attacking the person's character, right? Which Richard handled very gracefully, right? He's like, yeah, well, I'm not, so he's like, well, I'm trying to save people. And then stupid Bitcoiner guy said, stop trying to be Jesus Christ. And then Richard said, hey, I'm more like a Santa Claus, man. I'm too fat to be Jesus Christ. So pretty hilarious. They also deleted the debate video. That's right, James. They deleted the video. Oh, man. What a victorious moment for crypto. I mean, 2 years ago, everybody was ganging up on Hex. Everybody was ganging up on Richard Hart. And now these are the best guys they have left to defend Bitcoin. Everybody has either run out of energy or actually realized that Hex is awesome. And hey, maybe it's worth looking into, or just kind of aren't giving it any attention anymore. But you can't ignore it now. Hex has been around for 2.5 years. It's not going anywhere. It's clearly not a scam at this point. Richard Hart would have rug pulled a long time ago. Not to mention, he's been rich since the age of 25. He's not in this for the money, right? This isn't some epic rug pull, which is what a lot of people originally thought because Hex launched in 2019, which was like the bottom of the bear market. So you could see why people thought that, right? But now we've got such poor quality people left to defend Bitcoin that they're almost imploding, right? I saw a good tweet today saying that a lot of cults end up in a mass suicide type event, right? So, I mean, not a lot, but some of them have. And this might be just, an inevitability of the Bitcoiners cannibalizing themselves by trying to be so virtuous and self-righteous that they're really actually prohibiting onboarding. I mean, I've been to Bitcoin conferences, guys. I've seen some pretty cringe behavior from these people. It's kind of like a big circle jerk where everyone's like, hey, we're the best, right, guys? And everyone's like, yeah, we're totally the best. And then somebody asks any kind of critical question at all. And they're like, well, you just don't understand Bitcoin. It's like, well, not many people are coming at it with the facts like Richard Hart. And that's because they don't really have the truth on their side anymore. It's just a kind of a fact. You don't have the truth on your side. Bitcoin is outdated technology. It's like a bunch of people worshiping the VCR when we've got Netflix now. You know what I mean? And then, yeah, Tigray is like, Maxi comes in and says, yeah, well, you're fat. It's like because he's technically outsmarting you from every angle. And not even just outsmarting, like being with actual facts, right? You can't get much progress in proof of work anymore. And Bitcoiners love to worship proof of work as if it's the holy grail of innovation. They don't want to actually admit that proof of stake has been working fine for over 5 years now. And you can actually sacrifice a good amount of technical centralization for a little less security and a little better performance in UX and throughput, speed, because geographically and jurisdictionally, people aren't shutting down all 33 of these nodes at once. I mean, if Binance Smart Chain can function fine and CZ is going off in catch me if you can mode, he hopping countries, no one can get a hold of that guy. We had to sue him through Twitter. And I mean, who knows if he's even going to respond to that. But clearly what we're seeing is these are all socially enforced networks, right? As long as people have a vested interest in seeing the network survive, you can have 21 validators, you can have 33 validators, or you can be like Bitcoin and have 20,000 validators. But guess what? Bitcoin is the slowest, crappiest blockchain out there. Like, it really is slow. And I know Ethereum's expensive. Even Bitcoin's pretty expensive. PulseChain is going to be a fraction of a penny per transaction. Bitcoin is a couple dollars per transaction last time I checked, but it still takes 10 minutes for one confirmation. You know, if you want 6 confirmations, it takes an hour. It's just outdated tech, man. And it's like, people love to make these theoretical debates of, well, you know, technically the government could just shut down all the nodes or whatever. It's like, yeah, but then if they shut down, let's say 4 or 5, then 4 or 5 more would pick up the slack. And they're geographically spread all across the world. The kinds of attacks that people imagine, you know, that, you know, the double spend attacks, which or inflation. Basically, Richard Hart's point was double spend attacks don't happen because these are socially enforced networks. What you really have to worry about are inflation bugs and people writing poor code, which Bitcoin's had too. We know that. I mean, it's evident. Bitcoin has had 2 bugs where people could have minted, and in one case did mint as many free coins as they wanted. In 2010, they had to roll back the chain. In 2017, it was caught. The bug was caught by a Bitcoin Cash developer who responsibly disclosed it. But yeah, everything in crypto is getting hacked left and right. James has another good point. Ronin had like 9 validators and 5 were compromised. That's why they lost 600 million. Yeah, and also that wallet was a side chain, which was probably owned by a single centralized company. So there is this concept of decentralized enough. Okay, you can be decentralized enough, which PulseChain will be sufficiently decentralized enough because, number one, there's some barriers to actually joining or becoming a validator. You have to put up like 500,000 PLS or something like that. And not to mention, if one ever does go offline, there's a rotation. So it's a proof of authority rotation or delegated proof of stake, proof of authority hybrid. So when one does go offline, you have a whole bunch of other people waiting just to fill in those spots. And it's really not, I mean, we're going to see it play out, right? We're going to see it play out, but there's so many networks that have gone proof of stake that are actually saving the environment. Meanwhile, I think one Bitcoin transaction uses enough power to power a home for like a week or something like that, or a month. I forgot the exact statistic. I don't even know if that statistic was made up or not, but it's obvious. It's an objective fact that Bitcoin is bad for the environment. It is. Like, it just is. It burns electricity. And when people burn electricity to pay for security, they have an electricity bill. So they're burning all this electricity to get a very small amount of mining rewards. If they're lucky enough to be able to have bought miners from the few companies that are offering miners. And what do they have to do with that Bitcoin they just got? They have to sell some of it to pay for their electricity bills, right? It's a business model where it requires part of what you get to be dumped on the market. It's called a negative externality. These are things that Bitcoiners don't want to admit, right? With proof of stake, you use millions of % less energy consumption because there's so few nodes and they don't require hash rate, right? It's just proof of stake. So I know a lot of people get triggered by that. But yeah. We got Proof of Pulse here saying we need to decentralize ISP ASAP. I don't hear enough of this. Yeah, that is one risk factor, right? But we do have VPNs, and in America, it seems to be pretty free. At least we have a couple of different options for internet service providers. I don't know how other countries are with that. I know in some jurisdictions, like perhaps China or the Middle East, I think it's very centrally owned, which is why places like Iran and stuff could just totally shut off Bitcoin mining. Same with China, which they have tried before. So I think you have jurisdictions where these ISPs are more or less centralized, but that is always going to be a risk. So good point there. Let's see, Sebastian says, bro, what do you think IT will be the price at launch? I want to buy PLS. I don't know this. I don't understand this question, bro, but I think you mean incentive token. I don't know what the incentive token is going to cost, man. It's going to inflate from 0 coins. I don't have a huge interest in holding incentive token, to be honest. I don't know. I might just be selling that coin, right? And I'll be honest with you guys. Like, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm going to have any incentive to hold incentive token. Still up for debate. But as we know, no matter what, guys, just because a coin exists Some people are going to trade it. Some people are going to give it value and give it a price. And we could vote to actually, involve staking rewards and incentive tokens somehow. So that's always an option. But I mean, look at like Quick Swap token or Quick token, there's not really much use of the token other than DAO voting, which again, like the people actually voting in the contract are the developers. At the end of the day, you might think you have voting power, but the incentive token gives you 0.0001% of the vote, whereas the developers of the actual protocol have 90% of the vote. And granted, these are the people you want to have a vote. You want to give the smarter people voting power because they're the ones that know what's going on. I wouldn't feel comfortable trusting any old pleb off the street, even myself, to really be voting in these highly technical issues, right? So I don't know how the voting structures are going to work or whatever with incentive token. I'm not seeing much reason to hold it yet. That's all I'll say on that. Did you catch RH saying they might skip V3 public testnet? Yeah, Jay Kiss, I said, or I saw him say that he's not going to skip public, or yeah, he'll skip public testnet and he'll make V3 a private testnet. That's what I heard. That'd be great. I mean, he's getting a lot of testing out of V2B right now. And really all they need to do is run the AMM bot, a little bit in the background to make sure everything looks okay. And the only other thing left before PulseChain launches that I haven't heard about yet, guys, is the DAO contract. Now, I remember Richard Hart saying that the DAO voting contract was something that they could just take off the shelf, like using an existing voting DAO contract that's already been created, which I would love because, minimizes work, faster time to market, proven track record, something with a precedent already set that hasn't been hacked. That'd be great if we could just use an existing DAO contract. But I haven't heard much about that final piece of the puzzle. And I think that's the only thing that's left when it comes to PulseChain being released. My favorite line was, "Are you a hippie?" Yeah, right. It's like, I don't care about money, man. But like, wait, but I don't care about the price, but I care about the price long term, though. It's like, okay, okay, buddy, pretending like you don't care about the price. See, yeah, that's the thing about HEX and PulseChain and stuff. All the marketing is based on actually being honest about why people invest in this stuff anyway. It's a self-fulfilling, price-positive feedback loop. People are only going to buy crypto if they think they have a chance at making more money in the future. And it's basically a global financial revolution disguised as an internet Ponzi scheme, right? And it's just like, our Ponzi is better than the government's Ponzi. So our magic made-up internet money is better than your imaginary made-up internet money, because that's all it is at this point. And so we're reusing a lot of narratives that Bitcoin had. We're reusing a lot of the Federal Reserve narratives, but people only buy this stuff because they think they're going to make money. And if they buy enough of it and we get enough adoption that it goes global, eventually we'll be living in a world where they don't need to use dollars because enough people will just be transacting for different cryptos. Question you have to ask yourself is what part of the S curve do you want to be in? The S curve of adoption. The S curve of adoption starts low, and then it has a hockey stick up, and then it tapers off at the end. Bitcoin's already getting to this part, right? But with HEX and PulseChain, you're at about maybe this part right now. So would you rather buy before everyone's bought or after? And with Bitcoin, one of the points Richard was trying to make is that a lot of the richest people out there, a lot of new banks, Coinbase, FTX, Kraken, a lot of individuals, Jack Dorsey, the Winklevoss twins, Chamath Palihapitiya, these guys all own 1% of Bitcoin each. Grayscale owns 5% of Bitcoin. When you add up like these 10 or 20 individual people, they probably own about 20 to 30% of all Bitcoin. Because we know for a fact, 40% of all Bitcoin is in less than 2,000 wallets. And most people have more than one wallet. So how many real people do you think that really is? So much for your centralized, decentralized ownership narrative in Bitcoin. In Bitcoin at any given time, any one of these whales could dump the price massively, just like they can in HEX. I mean, we're not lying about that, right? But they don't. Then the reason they don't is because nobody wants to stop the game of musical chairs, right? I mean, nobody wants to kill their own bag and like basically nuke themselves and enter another bear market, for a multi-year bear market, just because they were greedy. And, there's also the whole deal with slippage and liquidity as well. If somebody did have 1 million Bitcoin and they tried to dump it, there wouldn't be enough liquidity in the market to absorb a 1 million Bitcoin sell. Just like there's not, enough liquidity in the market to really absorb 1 billion hex being sold right away. People have to do it staggered in small chunks. And that's fine for most people because most people don't need all this money right away. We're okay with delaying gratification. That's just how socially incentives are aligned. So a lot of people just don't want to admit, a lot of the same arguments they use against hex, they use for Bitcoin too, right? It's like, well, why would I want to buy a coin where any, Richard Hart could just dump it all to zero? It's like, okay, why would I want to buy a coin where, Chamath, Winklevoss, Jack Dorsey, all these different guys, Satoshi Nakamoto, what if he gives his Bitcoin to his kids in his inheritance fund? And what if his kids are assholes? And they're just like, yeah, I'm going to sell all the Bitcoin. That's a risk, right? But we don't talk about that because people don't like to, people like to make one-sided arguments and just put their head in the sand when it comes to everything else. What's up from Belgium? Hello. I love Belgium. One time I went to Tomorrowland in Belgium. It was a lot of fun. One of the most fun festivals in my life. So I love Belgium. Good to see you in the chat. Richard Fatone says, if PLS and PLSX can have lifetime passive income nodes for investment, it may help the value. I don't know what you mean by nodes. I mean, if you mean by like making a validator node, that's kind of the point of this. That was the original point of why I made the title. Richard, I think that nodes actually won't be profitable for a long time. The people that are creating nodes in Pulse and PulseX will, they'll be taking a hit financially, in my opinion, for a couple of years. I don't think it'll return any ROI for quite a while, but I know there's a lot of people happy to do it because there's so many diehard fans of the network that just want to see it survive. I know for a fact HODLdog is running a node right now. I know for a fact David Fetter, if you've seen him before on YouTube, is going to be running a node, and a very, very well-run node. He's a network admin in real life. He's going to be running, a fully spec'd out, really an audited, certified node, cooling and everything. They might have even redundancy in 2 geographic locations. And that's just because these people are crypto enthusiasts. They're hobbyists with real world skills that they use in their day jobs that they now want to use to benefit the greater good of the entire ecosystem we're building. So I don't know if you don't know what you're doing, I don't think running a validator node is going to be profitable, and you probably won't be able to keep it at 100% uptime if you don't know what you're doing. But if you are a tech guy, you might be able to run a PLS or PLSX node. Again, not for that much of a profit. You might even lose a little money over time, but it probably wouldn't cost you that much relative to how much your PulseChain gains are going to be. All right, Civ, hello. How much do you think Hex will pump when PulseChain launches? Good question. Well, you have to specify. Are you talking about Hex on Ethereum, or are you talking about Hex on PulseChain? Because there's going to be a copy, right? There's going to be 2 different coins. So I think Hex will pump leading up to PulseChain's launch. I think Hex on Ethereum will dump when PulseChain forks. And then I think Hex on PulseChain will pump up to relatively the same price that we saw Hex on Ethereum before the fork. So overall, I think the sum of the two might equal, let's say 110% of the whole, 1.1x perhaps. But I do think some people will be treating Hex on Ethereum as a buy the rumor, sell the news event. And I think there will be a rush to get quote unquote cheap PHEX on the PulseChain network because it'll start at $0 value and people are going to be rushing to buy it up. Now, that said, it's probably going to overshoot and people will sell it off and it'll flatline and eventually stabilize after 2 or 3 months, maybe, let's say. But I do think that 2 coins are better than 1. And so, I also think there's a lot of opportunities you can open yourself up to. And it's not all about Hex pumping, right? You want to be staked in Hex long term because that's really the store of value coin. So how much do I think it'll pump? I think Hex on PulseChain will pump relatively up to the price that it was on Ethereum before the fork. But again, just a guess. I don't have a crystal ball, not financial advice, blah, blah, blah. I don't know anything. I'm just guessing here, okay? So I'm really, really just guessing. Tigray says, if you were rich, wouldn't you buy your favorite asset for cheaper and then stake it close to 40% APY? Yeah, exactly. When you're rich, I mean, I'm starting to understand this now, right? But like, the more money you have, the more time you can afford to delay your gratification. So it's funny, a lot of people that are broke, they're like, oh, well, if I had $1 million, I would just dump it right away and run off, right? But it's like, let's say you get $1 million and you're like, well, I only really need like 50 to maybe 80K a year to survive and live very comfortably, and more money at some point doesn't really make you any happier. So people end up defending their bags and doubling down on protecting their value of their bags and not just taking all the money and crashing the price and running away, which is what I've learned, growing up in the 7 years I've been in cryptocurrency. So A Keyboard says it's about which cryptocurrency is the best Vortex for storage and for storage for cash. Yeah, I mean, it's almost about which narrative can attract the most people. It's all about global mass adoption, in my opinion. I like the word Vortex. That's a good word. Now, cash, I'm not so sure about, but it's which cryptocurrency is going to be the best Vortex for value storage, I would say. So you want to see which coin is designed to hold value better. And that's literally what HEX was designed to do. I mean, the concept of HEX was, okay, what are cryptos good for? What's an existing narrative? Well, the one that Bitcoin landed on was store value. Why don't we take store value and we'll add more product market fit to it by creating the world's first digital CD, certificate of deposit? Because we also know that in the traditional system, certificates of deposit are worth more than $7 trillion in the US and China alone. And it's the second most popular product at a bank. So if the goal of cryptocurrency is to completely decentralize every single product at a traditional bank for a global total financial revolution, why don't you start with replacing the second most popular product at a bank, a CD? Bitcoin can be over here and it can be digital gold. That's fine. But why don't we just make it appeal to even more people with the staking mechanism that incentivizes holding and disincentivizes selling with the penalty system? The penalties get paid out back to stakers. If you're new to HEX and you don't know a lot about the inner dynamics of HEX, I mean, I've got a course for total beginners. It's pretty cheap. I'd recommend learning about it because it really is a better store of value objectively than Bitcoin. Objectively, just by its, it's got modular design. The consensus layer can't be touched. It's locked and it's got no admin keys. It's literally an immutable smart contract, like smart contracts were intended to be. Now, in reality, everybody puts admin keys into their smart contracts because they want it. They're basically just faking it, right? But yeah, the code is modular, isolated, separated from the network layer. No admin keys, no backdoors. Nobody can change the rules of the system. In HEX, you literally are like the Federal Reserve. You're the one getting inflation to hold the price up rather than Bitcoin miners printing inflation to then sell the price down to pay for electricity bills. HEX is better than Bitcoin technically in every sense. It's just a matter in my mind of getting the word out and telling the entire world about it. So we just need to do a better job of marketing and advertising. That's all it comes down to. And hey, we've got a better brand name, better website, better YouTubers, better community, better logo. We're doing everything right now in HEX and in PulseChain and PulseX. We're doing everything that Bitcoiners kind of aren't doing right now. I mean, Bitcoin, when I look at their community, man, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. Hold up, guys. I am going to, uh-oh. Damn it. Well, main sale on Burning Man tickets has ended. It looks like I didn't make it into the lottery. Sad. Hopefully I'll be able to go on on round 2. Bummer. Sorry, guys. That's enough about my personal life. Let's see. Yeah, we're better in every sense of the word. It's just a matter of time, energy, and marketing. We just got to show more people. It's all about onboarding. And that's the narrative. That's that's where Bitcoiners, like Richard said, they lost the plot, right? They lost the plot that, hey, this is about onboarding new people. And how you onboard new people is you don't call them a bunch of stupid lemmings or brain dead lemmings, right? You have to tell people about the positive features and benefits. What are the features of this coin and how does it benefit you, the user? Now, people in Bitcoin just walk around saying, oh, Bitcoin's great and we're so awesome. And it's just like one big circle jerk. And they don't really sit people down to explain anymore, right? You've got a bunch of people. I just think of Bitcoiners as a bunch of smug dudes that think they're better than everyone else. And I don't see them doing a really effective job at marketing or onboarding. Now, I like Bitcoin, right? I don't want Bitcoin to fail. I mean, we need Bitcoin, but I don't see really positive behavior in a lot of the people promoting Bitcoin. Let's just say that. I think, man, it's just kind of sad. It's sad to see like what Satoshi originally intended for the world. But I mean, that's what you get. A lot of people that are very technically minded end up not being the greatest marketers. So maybe it's a catch-22 there where, hey, we've got a whole bunch of smart people. We solved the Byzantine generals problem. We have proof of work, and now we think it's great. And then they think they can just rest on their laurels and not innovate and not promote. And I think promoting is equally as important as innovation. So in Hex, we're doing both, right? We're upgrading our consensus layer, PulseChain, cheap transactions, fast transactions, easiest marketing pitch in the world, not to mention world's largest free airdrop. You're literally getting a copy of all your coins. Now, does that mean you're going to get a copy in US dollar terms? No. It means you're going to get a free copy of coins, which incentivizes users to come and check out the network, and it minimizes switchover cost. It minimizes the friction that both users and developers have to migrate to a new network because all their coins are already there. Their MetaMask already works. Everything's fine. You just might need to make a small front end change if you're a developer to point your front end, UI to a new network. It's way better than having a bunch of ghost town blockchains and trying to incentivize a bunch of new innovation and development to come over. We're already seeing the best of the best projects from Ethereum and other chains migrating over. It's like the great filter. And they're making these projects again by cloning them or making them even better by iterating on what works on Ethereum or what's worked on Ethereum. And Ethereum, luckily, has been the beta test for us because it's been the one that's losing people money left and right. And luckily, they beta tested all of our stuff. They've lost millions of dollars. And now we get to take all the good stuff only, move it over to PulseChain, and run Hex on top of PulseChain, which is the premier store value app, in my humble opinion. And it's where do we go from there? I mean, once we have an easy fiat on-ramp in which to onboard the masses, it doesn't get any easier, guys. You can onboard from your bank into your PulseChain wallet. Let's say we have a native PulseChain wallet. It takes you 2 seconds. It costs 0.001 pennies, and you can stake your Hex for 15 years for, like, let's say $1. And when it's time to end your stake, maybe it costs you $2 rather than $1,000. Wouldn't that be amazing? What do we have here? What's up with PRT tokens? I don't know, man. I don't know what this PRT token is. It's causing a lot of hype. My guess is it's a big nothing burger. My guess is that PRT it stands for party token, I believe. I don't think this is going to be much of anything. I think PRT is just kind of a placeholder just to show everybody how PulseX staking is going to work. Pulse Kirk says, since PHEX will launch at 0.0, would it be smarter to wait and buy PHEX instead of EHEX? No, dude. I mean, no, that doesn't. Why wouldn't you want something that starts at 0? Let me ask you a question. If you get something that starts at $0, what direction can it go only? Can a coin go negative? No, it cannot go negative. So, man, think about your question, dude. Why wouldn't you want to get a coin at 0? The only way to go is up from 0. And the only way you can get PHEX right at launch is by buying EHEX. Shame on you for that question. Oh, man. What about INC token? Yeah, again, INC token is the incentive token that you earn from staking in liquidity pools. I don't know, guys. I don't know much about INC token other than that it's going to be inflationary, only inflationary. There's no pre-sale for it. It only exists to reward people for putting up liquidity. And who decides on who gets those INC token rewards? Well, the PulseX holders do, because they get to vote in the DAO smart contract. Now, what's going to make people want to hold this INC token? I don't know. Maybe there will be staking rewards in the PulseX Earn program. Maybe some creative individual will come along and make a cool coin and say, hey, the only way to get this coin is by staking your INC token. That could be a pumpamental for INC. What else could be a pumpamental for INC? I once wrote a whole bunch of ideas down. Let's see. You could have an inflation schedule that has halvenings, for example, like Bitcoin, to increase the scarcity of the INC token over time. You could allow staking of incentive token to earn PLS from delegators, but I think that'd be too complicated. You could increase the staking pool rewards, like I just said. You could just slap on a generic staking mechanism for it. Like, hey, you stake it, you get 10% APY or whatever. You could use the token to get special access to other things, kind of like NFTs do sometimes. Perhaps you could involve some kind of a marketplace where you can spend INC, although that doesn't really make the price go up. And finally, perhaps you could add voting power in the DAO contract for holders of INC. Maybe you could merge in an update to the DAO contract where INC token holders actually get a little bit of a say. These are just my ideas. Feel free to take them, use them, whatever. I think the voting contract idea of giving INC token holders voting power in the contract is actually decent. The only thing is you'd have to have the DAO holders, the PulseX holders, all agree on that. So every PulseX holder, the majority would have to agree that that's a good idea. So I don't know. What's up, Bitfinesse? Good to see you, man. Where are you at these days? Party boys, PRT boys. That's right. Oh, a Pulse reward token? See, I don't think it stands for Pulse reward token because if you actually click on it, it says party. It says party token. I don't think it's Pulse reward token, although that would make sense. That would make sense. Maybe you should hodl BTC. Maybe I should hodl BTC. Maybe you should hodl HEX. Let's see. Know anything about Mintra staking? I don't know much about Mintra yet, other than, you can go check out my previous stream with Gerardo. He goes over the two main pumpamentals. Basically, you can stake Mintra to earn platform fees in the form of PLS token. Or there's one other thing you could do with it. I think you could just stake it and make some ROI. I don't remember exactly. You're going to have to go back and watch that video. Can we keep test gains? No, you can't. It's a testnet, bro. No. Hey, WildSJ. We do have a lot of creative minds around here. Love how much innovation is happening around HEX. That includes you too, a WildSJ. This wonderful person right here is the person who invented a YouTube channel with a lovely audio reading. So if you like audiobooks and you hate reading like me, you might want to check out, is it SciVive? SJ SciVives? I'm not sure. Just Google SciVive audiobook SJ on YouTube, and you can subscribe and listen to the whole book. I think she's up to chapter 3 right now. And it's way easier, in my opinion, than having to read through, because the way that it's written is really hard to read. I can't imagine actually reading that audiobook. Because he's like, it's almost like he's writing similar to how he talks, which doesn't translate always the best, but still a very good book with a lot of, I would just call it like blue collar wisdom almost. And it's just like really, it's really good for the most part. 90% of the ideas are good. All right, what else we got in here? We've got Matt, educate me. If I buy more EHEX now at say 15 cents, it's copied onto Pulse. So the same amount of HEX, but starting at zero value. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Cheese man. So yeah, you buy some EHEX now at 15 cents. Then when PulseChain forks, you're going to have an EHEX worth some value, maybe not 15 cents. And then you're going to have PHEX at 0. PHEX is probably going to shoot up a little bit, whereas I think EHEX is probably going to sell off a little bit. But now whatever the price of these two tokens land on, it's basically you're betting on, do you think that the sum of PHEX plus EHEX post the fork is going to be greater than the value of EHEX before the fork? It might be. It might not be temporarily. It might dip below the value pre-fork. But I like having 2 coins. I think 2 coins are better than 1. Plus, if you want to stake now at the best staking rates, it's always going to be a better deal to stake HEX today, because you can always buy more shares with your HEX today. It's always going to be more expensive tomorrow or any other day in HEX terms. So you might, if you're a long-term thinker, a long-term holder, like a lot of the people in this chat that are actually making money right now, a lot of the people that got rich in HEX, that are getting rich in HEX right now, are long-term holders, right? I don't ever recommend that people stake HEX for less than a year. You stake for 1 year minimum, and then you make your ladder, 1 year, 18 months, 24 months, whatever structure you want. Just hold something for longer than a year, man. That's another thing I want to tell everybody, is that anyone thinking they're going to get rich overnight in PulseChain is sorely, sorely mistaken. You are dead, dead wrong. So if you want to be a guy that dumps your PulseChain or PulseX right away, just do it. Just get it over with, get out of here, and you're not going to have a good time. Yeah, but thank you for your service and goodbye. The people that are really going to make money in this, just like the people making money in Hex, are the people that have strong hands. And what does that mean? Hold something for longer than a year, guys. Just try holding any asset for longer than a year. Not only do you get to pay lower capital gains tax when you finally pull out, but you just, I don't know. The short-term mentality in crypto really bothers me. You know, people think they're going to hop in this coin, they're going to flip it in a month, and then they're going to become an overnight millionaire. That doesn't happen to anybody. You might have heard about that happening to one guy. You know that Shiba guy that made like $1 billion overnight? Well, number one, he wasn't even able to sell all that because there's not enough liquidity for him to actually sell. He might have made a few $1 million, sure, but there's this concept of silent evidence, which is all the dead bodies that you don't hear about, all the people that lost money trying to get rich quick in crypto. The only people that get rich in crypto are long-term holders and founders, okay? Long-term, what does that mean? Over a year. Just try it, guys. It gets easier. It gets easier. And the reason that it's so easy to hold Hex is that, you know, if you got a 5-year stake, you're making 40% interest. So you don't have to really care about the day-to-day volatility. You can just live your life, go outside, go get a job, go do something productive, and, you know, come back whenever your stake comes due. Chances are you're going to have a lot of price appreciation plus any of the interest that you made along the way. See, any idea how long after mainnet launch there will be a bridge to ETH? I think 2 days, Stefan. I think it's going to take 2 days after mainnet launch before the bridge goes live. All right. What else? Any good questions in the chat here? What do we got? Ethereum is a dying dinosaur. Yeah, I think Ethereum will be around for a while. I don't know. I don't think it's going anywhere. Can you please explain how to trade our ERC20 copies to PLS? Oh, you just need to bridge them using pulseramp.com. I have a video about how to use pulseramp.com. If you want to know how to bridge in your coins, go use the testnet right now on pulseramp.com. You can watch my video to see how it's done. I highly recommend you prepare for that, because if you want to bridge your ERC20s over, there's some LP mining plays to be done. The second part of your question is, I don't understand the term of ratio. Who decides the ratio? The market. So in automated market makers, prices are determined by the ratio of the two coins in the liquidity pool. So if you've got $1 million and 1 million hex in a liquidity pool, then 1 hex equals $1. That's how prices are determined in automated market makers, otherwise known as decentralized exchanges. That's just the price is the ratio. It's called a constant product market rather than a central limit order book, which was the old-fashioned way. I have another video on that, so go check out all my previous videos. I talk about all this stuff. Is the snapshot taken for ERC20? No. Snapshot is the same day as the fork day. Jerry says length of hair is a good length. Thank you, Jerry. I was really self-conscious about that. Let's see. Kidwin says, buy more hex, stake it, share, and like this vid. That's right. Smash the like, everybody. Give me a nice little follow. Hey, we're coming up on 50 minutes. I might cut this off soon. Will I be able to swap some DAI over? Yeah, we will be able to swap DAI. That's actually a good question. I don't know how much stable coins are going to be worth. There's an interesting point to be made about the PRC20 version of stable coins when PulseChain hits the market. Now, any stablecoin that you're holding in your wallet, you're going to have a copy of your stablecoin on PulseChain, but there's really no reason for these centralized companies like Circle, Coinbase or whatever, Goldman Sachs, or Tether, to really continue to value these forked stablecoins at $1. So now that said, people might still value them at not zero, right? They might still have, let's say people are paying 10 cents for the PulseChain version of $1, 1 USDC. I'll let you in on a little secret, guys. One of the early moves I'm making in in PulseChain is probably going to be to dump all my stable coins on PulseChain, because I don't predict that they're going to keep their value for very long. So if I can extract any value out of these stable coins in terms of maybe I can swap them for HEX or for Pulse or for PulseX, if I can get any coins for some of my Pulse stable coins, I'm going to try to do that as soon as I can. That's just I don't think a lot of people are going to tell you that, because it's kind of a low key move. But I think the real stable coins that are going to keep their value are going to be the ones that you bridge over. So I think with this guy, when Junebug is saying, will I be able to swap some DAI over? I think what you mean are you going to be able to bridge some DAI over? And then the answer is yes. And then the answer to what I think you're asking is yes, then you can provide liquidity with your bridged in stable coins, because you can pretty much guarantee that those bridged in stable coins are going to hold their value to the dollar. Whereas I don't know for sure if your PulseChain copies of stable coins are going to keep their value at $1. Wes Bailey, great meeting you in Vegas too, bro. What's up, man? Hey, Johnny, what's up, dude? 420 viewers, everybody. Light one up for Mark and Belly here. Guys, I think it's a pretty good time to end this stream. I hope you learned something today. I got nothing else for you. I'm excited about PulseChain. I'm excited about HEX, and it's going to be a bright future ahead. Great to be along on this crazy journey with you. Make sure you like and subscribe. And I'll just end on this one. Any idea about estimated APY? No, sir. But just to recap on the initial premise of the video, I think APY is going to be low for PulseChain delegating. Just a theory. I don't know. But I think you can get a lot more yield in all the many other activities that I mentioned earlier. All right. Peace out, guys. See you later.